Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we're exploring 5 modern stories inspired by Madeline Miller's Circe. We're going to uncover exactly how our deepest psychological defenses end up shaping our realities. Now, to be clear, these aren't literal mythological retellings. They're actually brilliant contemporary case studies that dive into the emotional armor we all build just to survive.
The fundamental question driving every single one of these characters, and honestly probably a lot of us watching right now, is this. What happens when the armor that was meant to protect us turns into a cage that literally keeps life out? Seriously, what do we do when life just refuses to become safe enough for love? It's a heavy question, for sure, but it demands that we take a really close look at our own survival strategies.
To get to the bottom of this, we're going to break down 3 profound case studies from these stories. They perfectly illustrate how our absolute greatest strengths can silently, almost invisibly, transform into our most destructive emotional traps. You know, we usually think of defensiveness as just, well, being argumentative, but it's actually this incredibly intricate strategy to avoid emotional pain, one that almost always backfires.
Part 1. The Woman Who Leaves.
Meet Maya Bennett. She's a highly successful corporate attorney, and her ultimate superpower is knowing exactly when to walk away from a bad deal. But here's the catch. There is a massive, jarring contrast in her life. Professionally, she's strong, decisive, a total powerhouse. Personally, she is completely paralyzed by vulnerability. She's dating Daniel, who's a divorced dad with a teenage daughter, and the very second Daniel suggests merging their lives, Maya's subconscious threat detection system just goes right into overdrive. Because she's so terrified of being trapped in a bad ending, she's constantly anticipating betrayal. She starts pushing Daniel away long before he could ever get the chance to hurt her. For instance, when Daniel's former father-in-law ends up in the hospital, Maya actually treats Daniel's very natural grief as a threat to her. She sets up these impossible, silent tests, telling him not to come over, and then getting absolutely furious when he actually respects her boundaries.
When Maya tries to justify her constant pulling away as just trusting her instincts, Daniel drops this devastating line right before he walks out for good. He tells her, "You keep calling it intuition. Sometimes it's fear with very good vocabulary." Wow. He completely exposes her so-called intuition as nothing more than a highly articulate defense mechanism built to avoid rejection.
And ultimately, Maya gets exactly what she engineered. She's left sitting completely alone on her kitchen floor, hit with the realization that her prized ability to survive independently cost her the man she loved. She designed her entire adult life so nobody could trap her in a bad ending, but she just ended up trapping herself in total isolation.
Part 2. The Woman I Destroyed.
Now let's talk about Sojin. She's a highly competent brand strategist in Seoul, 6 years deep into a relationship with her boyfriend Min-jae. It's exactly the kind of relationship everyone just assumes will end in marriage. But that entire illusion shatters in an instant when Sojin glances at his open laptop and discovers he's been having an affair with a younger freelance photographer named Hyerin. But instead of directing her intense humiliation at the boyfriend who actually cheated on her, Sojin uses her professional clout to systematically destroy Haerin's career over the next few months. It's brutal. But the real twist drops 4 years later. Sojin uncovers old emails proving Min-jae had lied to Haerin too. He told the photographer he and Sojin were already separated. Realizing she ruined an innocent woman, Sojin takes an agonizing trip down to Busan to finally apologize. When she makes that apology, Sojin is clearly hoping for some kind of closure. But Haerin delivers this phenomenal response. She flat out refuses to play a supporting role in a neat, comforting redemption arc for the woman who tanked her career. By denying Sojin the comfort of mutual victimhood, she draws a hard line. So, Sojin is forced to sit with a really uncomfortable truth. Understanding your own defensive motives doesn't just magically erase the real-world damage you inflicted on someone else. Sure, controlling the narrative protected Sojin's ego in the short term, but it left lasting collateral damage that a simple "I'm sorry" can never fix.
Part 3. The Exhausting Hero.
Our third story shifts to Dr. David Morales. He is a celebrated emergency physician, globally recognized for his relief work in disaster zones. But there is a massive disconnect between how the world sees him and how his family experiences him. The exact traits that make David a literal hero when the world is falling apart make him completely exhausting to live with. He just cannot let his wife and kids have a normal, everyday problem without treating it like a medical triage situation.
When life is ordinary, David feels totally useless. He needs a crisis to solve. And because of that, he inadvertently forces his family to constantly defend their perfectly normal choices and feelings as if they were life-or-death emergencies. He cross-examines his wife over a clogged dishwasher like it's a crime scene. When his daughter has a standard panic attack, he tries to run a battery of cardiac tests. And he treats his son's decision to pursue pottery like a fatal diagnosis.
His son Lucas finally voices this profound realization while defending his apprenticeship as a potter. He tells his dad that he chose pottery simply because it was the only path that didn't feel pre-owned by David's suffocating expectations. David's intense, driving need to steer his family toward his version of success was actually the very thing driving them away.
The big breakthrough for David happens while he's reviewing some raw documentary footage being made about his life. The camera kept rolling during a break when he left the room. For the first time, he watches his family looking genuinely relaxed, joking, laughing, just breathing, only when he isn't there. It is a brutal but absolutely necessary awakening. It teaches him that being a hero isn't always what the people you love need. Sometimes they just need you to stand still.
Part 4. Read the rest online.
Now, what's really fascinating is that we've only just scratched the surface here. We've explored topic 1 through topic 3, right? We've seen how our greatest strengths, Maya's ability to walk away, Seojin's control over narratives, and David's crisis management can become the exact traps that destroy our peace. They took survival mechanisms and let them run rampant until they became purely destructive.
But there are still 2 more incredible stories waiting for you. What about Keiko, the widowed mother who uses location-sharing apps to obsessively track her daughter until protection literally morphs into surveillance? Or Ethan, the billionaire who is so busy meticulously optimizing his biological age that he completely misses out on actually living in the present day? To read the rest of these stories and see how their defenses beautifully and painfully unravel, please visit imaginarytalks.com/Madeline-Miller-Circe-Modern Stories. I highly encourage you to go check out the full source text right now. It's a brilliant collection.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. When life refuses to become safe, what armor are you wearing that's secretly keeping you trapped? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.